I sat by the window. Rain fell slowly from the gray sky. The room was quiet. Too quiet. There was an old chair near the table. It used to be my mother's chair. She always sat there with her warm smile. Now, the chair was empty. No voice, no soft laugh, no stories. Just silence. I touched the chair gently. My heart felt heavy. Tears came to my eyes. "Mom," I whispered. "Can you still hear me?" I waited. Only the sound of the rain answered. But deep inside, I felt something. Like a soft hug. Like her love was still there. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen. The sun was shining, but my heart still felt cold. Everything in the kitchen looked the same. The red teapot, the small flower cups, the white plates. But something was missing. My mother's voice. She used to sing while she made breakfast. A soft song in the early morning. Sometimes, I didn't listen. I was too busy with my phone, my school, my life. Now, I would give anything to hear her sing again. I closed my eyes and stood still. Then, for a moment, I imagined her voice. "Wake up, sleepy head," she would laugh. "Your tea is ready. Come and eat before it gets cold." I smiled a little. I could almost see her standing there. Wearing her blue apron, holding a spoon in her hand. I went to the cupboard and took out the red teapot. It still smelled like tea and love. I made a cup of tea. I sat at the table, just like before. I drank slowly, pretending she was sitting across from me. "Mom," I whispered again. "Do you remember our mornings?" The silence answered me again. But this time, it felt softer. Like she was listening, somewhere close. That evening, I walked slowly into my mother's room. The door made a soft sound as I opened it. The air smelled like her perfume, soft, sweet, and warm. I hadn't been in her room for weeks. It felt too hard, too sad. But something in me wanted to go there now. I sat on her bed. Her blanket was folded neatly. Her pillows still held the shape of her head. I touched them gently. Then I noticed something. A small wooden box was under her bed. I pulled it out. It was old, with a gold flower on the lid. My hands shook a little as I opened it. Inside, there were many things. A photo of her holding me as a baby. A birthday card I made when I was 6. A small necklace with a heart. A note with her handwriting. I held the note carefully. The paper was soft and a little yellow. The words were simple, but they made me cry. To my dear child. If one day I am not there, please remember this. You are loved. Always. Every second, every day. Be strong. Be kind. And never forget your smile. Love. Mom. Tears ran down my cheeks. I hugged the note to my chest. Why didn't I see this before? I whispered. I miss you so much, Mom. I lay down on her bed, holding the photo and the note. The room was quiet, but my heart felt full. She had left me a gift, not just in the box, but in the love she gave every day. That night, I didn't feel so alone. Her love was still here. In the box, in the room, in my heart. The next day, I sat in the living room. The afternoon sun came through the window, painting golden light on the floor. I looked around and saw everything she had touched. The soft cushions, the books on the shelf, the little plant by the window that she loved so much. Then, my eyes stopped at something special. An old music player on the shelf. It was dusty now, quiet for many months. But I remembered the sound it used to play. I stood up and walked over to it. My hands brushed the dust away. I pressed the button. Nothing. Then I tried again. Click. A soft sound began to play. It was her favorite song. Suddenly, I was no longer in the quiet room. I was in a memory. I was 8 years old. The rain was falling outside, just like now. The power had gone out, and everything was dark. I had been scared, crying in the corner. But she took my hand and said, "Let's not be afraid. Let's dance in the dark." She turned on this same music player, using an old battery. The soft music filled the room. She picked me up and spun me around. We laughed. We danced. The world felt safe in her arms. Back in the present, I stood in the middle of the room. The same music was playing again. I closed my eyes and let the sound touch my heart. And then, I danced. Yes, I danced. Alone in the room. With tears in my eyes and love in my soul. The song ended. The room became quiet again. But something inside me had changed. For the first time in a long time, I felt her love not as pain, but as light. It didn't hurt the same way anymore. It still brought tears, but also peace. I looked around the room. And for once, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt full. Of echoes. Of laughter. Of everything we once shared. She wasn't gone. Not really. She was in the corners of this room. In the faded photographs. In the quiet moments between heartbeats. I closed my eyes and whispered, "Thank you. Not just for the memories, but for teaching me how to love so deeply that even loss couldn't take it away." Outside, the wind moved gently through the trees. Like a soft lullaby only I could hear. And I knew she was with me. Always. I stood up slowly and walked to the window. The sky was painted in soft colors. A gentle goodbye from the sun. And I remembered something she once said. Even sunsets promise a new dawn. My heart didn't feel so heavy anymore. It still ached. But it also felt stronger. Carrying her love forward. I wasn't alone. Not in the way I thought. She had left a part of herself behind. Woven into the fabric of who I was now. I smiled again. Not through tears this time. But with quiet strength. Love doesn't end. It transforms. And in that transformation, we heal. I stood at the window, gazing at the horizon, watching the sky soften into twilight. The world outside felt still, but in my heart, there was a quiet storm of peace. Her words echoed again. Even sunsets promise a new dawn. It had always felt like a hopeful reminder. Now, it felt like a truth. A truth I could finally understand. In the silence of the room, the echoes of her love seemed to linger. No longer painful, but gentle, like a whisper of the past. It was as if she had never truly left. She was just a part of me now, living on in the love she had given me. The ache in my chest had softened. It wasn't gone, but it no longer consumed me. Instead, I could carry it with me, a tender reminder of what we had shared. I turned away from the window and looked around the room. It was the same room, but it felt different. The light seemed warmer, the air lighter, and the silence, not empty, but full of all the moments we had once lived. Her love was still here, not in the form of a voice or a touch, but in the way I had learned to be, the way I had learned to love. I didn't need to hold on to her memory with tears. I could hold it in my heart with gratitude. She had taught me to love fully, without fear, without regret. And now, even in her absence, she was still teaching me how to live with love, how to keep moving forward. I stepped outside into the cool evening air, and for the first time in so long, I felt the weight of the past lift. Just slightly, but enough to make a difference. The wind touched my face like a familiar embrace, soft and comforting. I closed my eyes for a moment, breathing in the peace that surrounded me. Somehow, I knew she would always be a part of me. Her presence didn't need to be physical. It was in the air I breathed, the memories I carried, the lessons I had learned. The stars began to appear in the night sky, small but bright, like little pieces of her, scattered across the heavens. I smiled softly, knowing she was watching over me, wherever she was. "I'll be okay," I whispered to the night, "because you've already given me everything I need." And for the first time in a long time, I believed it. I walked slowly down the path, each step feeling lighter than the last. The world looked different now. Not because it had changed, but because I had. Grief no longer felt like drowning. It felt like a quiet river, still flowing through me, but no longer pulling me under. I could feel her smile in the breeze, hear her laughter in the rustle of the leaves, sense her warmth in the golden glow of the streetlight ahead. She wasn't just in the past. She was in my now. In my strength. In my ability to keep going. A soft voice in my heart whispered, "You're doing just fine." And for once, I didn't doubt it. I passed the little park where we used to sit, where the bench still waited, weathered but strong, just like my memories. I sat there for a while, letting the cool evening air wrap around me. It didn't sting like before. It felt calming. I thought about all the things I still wanted to do. Not just for me, but for her too. To live fully, boldly, kindly. Because that's what she would have wanted. She once told me, "Promise me you'll keep living with your whole heart." I hadn't understood it then. But now, I did. I had survived the storm. And in its quiet aftermath, I had found the roots of something new. Hope. I stayed on that bench for a long time, watching the sky change. How the soft blues gave way to deep purples. How the stars began to emerge. Like old friends returning to say hello. Each one reminded me of a moment. A quiet conversation. A shared smile. The way her hand used to find mine. Without needing to look. I let the memories come. Not to break me, but to build me. For too long, I had run from the past, thinking pain was something to avoid. But now I saw it differently. Pain was proof of love. And love was still here. I stood up and walked slowly, letting the rhythm of my steps echo softly through the empty path. I wasn't in a rush. There was peace in the stillness. There was strength in the slowness. As I walked, I passed the bookstore where we met. Its windows glowing warm yellow against the night. I remembered the way she smiled when she found her favorite author on the shelf. As if life had handed her a small miracle. I stepped inside. The bell above the door jingled gently. And the scent of old paper and softwood wrapped around me like a hug. I wandered through the aisles, fingertips brushing spines, until I found that same book she had loved. I held it for a moment, feeling the weight of it. It wasn't just a book. It was a memory. A doorway. A quiet kind of magic. I bought it. Not because I needed it, but because I wanted to honor what it meant. Outside, the night had grown cooler. But the warmth inside me stayed. I walked home with the book held close. Like a keepsake from a time that shaped me. And as I reached my door, I paused. I looked up at the stars again. Clearer now, brighter somehow. And I whispered, "I'm okay. I'm really okay." Because I was. Not because the grief had vanished. But because I had made space for it. Because I had learned how to carry it. Not as a burden, but as a reminder. That love this deep doesn't leave us. It becomes us. As I stood at the window, the sky now a canvas of stars, I felt a profound stillness settle over me. The day's emotions had ebbed, leaving behind a quiet reflection. The memories of her, once a source of pain, now brought a gentle warmth. I turned away from the window and walked through the house, each room echoing with fragments of our shared past. The living room, where laughter once filled the air, the kitchen, still holding the aroma of her favorite recipes, and the bedroom, a sanctuary of whispered dreams and silent understandings. In the study, I found her journal, its pages filled with her thoughts, dreams, and the love we shared. Reading her words, I felt her presence anew, guiding me, comforting me. She had poured her soul into these pages, leaving behind a roadmap of her heart. As dawn approached, a soft light filtered through the curtains, casting a golden hue over everything. I realized that while she was no longer physically present, her essence permeated every corner of my life. She lived on in the memories, the love, and the person I had become. I stepped outside, the morning air crisp and invigorating. Birds chirped melodiously, and the world seemed to awaken with renewed energy. I took a deep breath, embracing the new day with a sense of peace and purpose. "Thank you," I whispered to the wind, a smile gracing my lips. "For everything." In that moment, I understood that love transcends the boundaries of life and death. It endures, transforms, and continues to guide us, even in absence. And as I moved forward, I carried her love with me, a beacon illuminating the path ahead.